I screwed up a good position, and I genuinely don't know where I went wrong. This is round 2 of the Sacramento Championship, and it is game in 90 plus 30 seconds per move. It's my first time in Sacramento, and this is my second birthday game. I told my opponent to go easy on me, and he sort of did so, but sort of did not. And this is a no engine recap until the very end of this video. So I'm playing this young teen, Gotham, and he plays d4. And he plays a really weird opening, and I completely screw it up. I play d5, he plays knight f6. We're continuing development here. I gave e6 in inaccuracy, so I annotated some of the moves in this game. I don't know why I didn't play bishop g4 or bishop f5. There are some positions where, like, you know, bishop f4 happens, then e6, and then like knight d5, and you can have some shenanigans happen. But I don't think this is a concern here. After knight e5, I just go bishop f5, and I'm completely fine here. If e3, preparing some sort of g4 potentially. Well, firstly, I could just go bishop d6 here, and if g4, I could even just go bishop e4, and if f3, I go back, and if h4, wait, maybe this is a concern. Maybe this is a concern. Wait, if g4, maybe, oh, duh, I can just take the knight now, and if pawn takes, I can take the pawn on g4, and if pawn takes here, then I can take here, and I'm doing quite well here. Those are tripled Isolanis. And I could take this pawn if I want to. I guess I could take it. Yeah, why not? Bishop d3, queen check, queen d2, and maybe just maintain a pleasant. Maybe just maintain an extra pawn advantage. He had double pawns. Yeah, this is pleasant for me. This is very pleasant. I don't know if it's winning, but it's very pleasant. So I shouldn't have been afraid of bishop f5 or bishop g4. I should have just played it. But I don't know why. I just played e6. I thought it was a more solid approach. I thought and it is reasonable, but I think it's an inaccuracy. He plays a3, which, why did I give e6 an inaccuracy but not a3? What the heck am I doing? I'm doing that right now. I don't know what's wrong with me today. But I played c5, so he plays a waste of a move. Like, you know, if he played bishop f4, I probably would have met it with bishop d6 and quickly castling. But he wastes the move with a3, and a lot of times, you know, in d pawn openings, in queen's pawn openings, you typically do not want to put your b knight in front of your c pawn, because usually you want to use your c pawn to defend the center or attack the center. So after he played a3, I play c5, using my pawn to attack the center. He plays bishop f4. I play bishop d6 here. You know, I think you know, c takes d4 could be a way to quickly get a bad position, because knight b5 here, attacking c7, guarding d6 one more time, knight a6 here to defend, and then either queen takes or knight takes, and I think white has a pleasant position, and why is this knight on a6? So I think white is doing okay here. So I play bishop d6 so to kind of contest the bishop on the square, and then I take on d4. He could have maybe, yeah, the thing is he doesn't have enough time to take here because his bishop is hanging. So he could go e3 as well, but then I'll probably just like take, and you know, I have a very pleasant position. You know, this is a very pleasant position. He has double pawn, but he controls the e5 square, but his pawns are doubled, so it's probably fine for white, but not great. You know, black is slightly better probably. So I play knight c6, he plays queen d1, I castle, he goes e3, and now I go bishop takes g3. So I don't have to, but I was really trying to debate on what I wanted to do, and I wasn't really entirely sure. I really wanted to expand in the center with e5. That's what I really wanted to do. So I wanted to, after e3, I wanted to go e5, which is the most principled approach. You know, if you can put two pawns in the center side by side, you should. That's you know, that's the most principled approach. But I thought, you know, like bishop b5, and I was like, what am I doing? You know, if I play rook e8, then you know, this pawn is almost hanging, but not quite. Even though, for example, knight takes, queen takes, and bishop b4 check, picking up the queen. So, he could castle, and now this pawn is actually under threat. But then I can defend with this maybe, or maybe I could go bishop g4, and it's actually very useful the fact that this bishop is still on g3 because he cannot go h3 and g4 to counteract the pin. And so I think this is probably the way I should have played here, even though he can take the pawn. Maybe it doesn't really matter that much. I can play e4 here, and I'm doing quite well. I'm doing quite well. So I think I should have played like this. I think I should have just, fully committed. Like, I don't care if you go bishop e5. I don't care. Like, I should have just committed to e5. But instead, I traded on h3, on g3, and now, he has this open rook. And then I played e5 now. So, kind of different. I damaged his structure a little bit. Damage it as in give him an active rook for doing nothing. So I think that was a bad decision. And then I played d4. So that was my idea. Play e5, d4. He can't castle. He went queen back to d1, which was so weird. I thought, like, after knight c6 we go queen d2 to prepare to castle long. I have no idea why he didn't do that. It makes no sense. This kid was moving extremely fast. He had like 92 minutes or 93 minutes at this point. He was making every move very, very fast. And so after this transfer, so I was expecting the queen d2, but he doesn't do that. And then we trade, and I go e5, d4. So my idea was, yes, I'm giving him an active rook. However, I'm going to open this puppy up. I'm going to throw everything open. And he goes knight e2, I go knight e4, and my idea was, bam, queen a5 check, which I think is a huge mistake because of what happened in the game. I thought, that there might be some ideas of knight f2, and I think now I should just go rook e8 because now he cannot castle because of knight takes f2. This knight blocks the queen's defense on the f2 square, but by playing queen a5 check, because my idea was, okay, b4 I can take, and if he takes, he's studying mate. I can go bishop f5, guarded by my queen, and then take on c2 next with a discovered check and a fork on the rook on a1. So I thought this was very, very good. I thought this was very, very potent. I was very happy with finding this move. But after knight d2, which is the most obvious move now, he guards f2, and then after rook e8, which I thought was the most natural move, he just castles out of it. Even though I was x-raying his king, it doesn't matter. He can castle, and suddenly it's like, wait a second, like my original intent was knight c3. So if you take my pawn, I take with check, and after king b1, I take this pawn. If you do not sacrifice your knight back, you go knight c4, I go check, you go king a1, for example, bishop e6, threatening the knight, and then so if you go rook g1, I'm just going to go give a check probably, and you have to get checkmated. And I thought, like, oh my gosh, this is very, very good. But the thing is, he doesn't have to take my knight on c3. He can go knight b3. So I sacrifice my knight, but then he throws in a counterattack here. And if I go here, now he can probably just take my knight, and then with his knight, and this pawn is pinned. And if I don't go queen, e4, what am I doing? Anywhere I go, I'm moving my queen away, and suddenly now taking. My knight, I don't have any checks against his king, and so what am I doing? So after knight c3, if I did play this move, then knight b3, I have this check here, and then after bishop takes, I can play queen e4 here. So now if he takes, then I can take, and then go queen a1 or queen a2 to kind of mess around in his position. But the thing is, he doesn't have to play like that. And after queen d5, he can play bishop f3, attacking my queen, and suddenly my queen doesn't really have that many squares here, and he's fully developed. He has an open h file. I mean, like, I'm just getting mauled here, and it's not a good time. The reason why I didn't play rook e8 earlier, I should note this, is queen h4 looked really annoying to me. Queen h4, it attacks my queen and attacks h7, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to trade queens here and be saddled with a weak, isolated d-pawn. I really don't. And so I thought, yeah. So yeah, actually, I don't know what my move is supposed to be then, because I don't like rook e8. Rook e8, queen h4, I don't have a good response. I legitimately don't have a good response to his moves. I don't. I can play knight f6 here, and then castles, and now this d pawn is really, really in trouble here. Bishop f5, knight takes, maybe knight takes, bishop g6. Maybe would have played something like this. I don't know. But maybe I should have done that, and if he did take, and if I take, and if he went here, at the very least, I have an open attack towards his king, and he hasn't finished development yet. So I needed to play with the initiative here, and just like, no, don't be worried about my D pawn. Go full throttle, put your foot on the gas, make it or break it, no fear. A man with no fear. I needed to do my best Daredevil impression and just, mollywop this guy. But instead, I go rook e8 here, and he castles, and I go queen d5. I'm like, I bail out. Knight c3 doesn't work. Knight c3, I wanted to go all in, but my all in didn't work, and he could have gone knight b3. And so I went queen d5 to get out of the way of knight b3, but then he wins, goes knight b3 anyways, and suddenly he has all of the attacks on my d4 pawn. And I come up with an interesting solution here. I go rook e6. My idea is, yes, go ahead, take my knight, take my pawn on d4. I'm going to go rook f6, and if you go queen h4, I'm going to go bishop f5 to guard the h7 pawn and finish development. If you take my bishop, well, now I'm attacking f2. So that was my idea. My idea was, I'm going to rook lift to complete development. That was my idea. And in truth, I think bishop d3 ruins my day. I think bishop d3 ruins my day because this pin is very, very powerful. And if I go queen g5 check, and let's say you could take, you play f3, and I'm down a pawn with no compensation. I mean, I'm simply down a pawn here. So I think my analysis was just bad, and my everything was bad, and I think I played really horrible, and I am not happy with myself. I think I played really badly. He plays knight c6, sacrificing his queen, because if I take, then he takes, and now he's studying mate. So he sacrifices his queen, I sacrifice my queen back. Brilliant move, at least according to me. And after he takes back, I take his queen, and the crazy thing is, I have a fork at the end. So he takes my knight, I take his rook with my queen. He takes my queen, I take his queen. He takes my rook, I take his pawn with check and pick up his rook. He takes up my bishop, and he wants to go king f3 and g3 and bishop g2 to pick up my knight. But the thing is, his pawn is hanging on c3, so he has to defend. He doesn't have to. He could go king f3, but then I win the pawn, and then if g3, I win this pawn, and then like knight here, and then I'm going to win. I can honestly just go like check here, and I'm going to win his bishop. So I'll be up a whole rook. So yeah, nothing you can do here. So he has to go c3. I give a check. I pick up the bishop. I go h5, king e7, king f6. I give a check. I go rook e1. So step one is infiltrate. So the knight and king are spread out, so his resources are a bit thin. So I infiltrate, move my king up to the center, infiltrate, and he plays a knight d2 here, stopping rook b1 from happening. But now I just go king f5, so I prevent the check. And my idea is that yes, he can go knight c5. So if I go rook b1 here, he can give a check and pick up this pawn. So I go after king f5 and knight c5. I go back to e6, go back king e6, and I use my knight geometry to ensure that I was never forked. So there was the king is 2 diagonal squares away from the knight, so it's going to take this knight 4 turns to check my king. And my king and rook are on opposite colors, so the knight cannot fork my king and rook if they are not on the same color. So after knight c5, after king e6, he plays knight b5. Now I attack the pawn. So if you go b4, I'm going to go b6, and if here, I'm going to go rook b3. But that's a fork here, actually. So probably after knight c6, I would have to go rook a1. Yeah, rook a1. Now it takes knight b4 here. A little bit annoying, actually. This is actually a little bit annoying. Maybe I could have gone rook c1 here. So now if knight takes, I give a check. And now if here, I can take either pawn. Maybe this pawn first, so this pawn's still hanging. Yeah, so this would have been good. This would have been very good. So, but he just goes knight takes b7, I go takes, he gives a check, and then I go king d5 here. So once again, my a king that is three squares in front of the knight, it's going to take the knight at least 2 turns to check the king. And either whenever my rook is on a dark square, you know, the knight cannot fork my king and rook. So he takes my pawn, so I win a pawn, but now I win both of these pawns, and then nothing he can do. So he moves his king, I take the pawn, and he just resigns now. So it ends up being a pretty clean game after I win the exchange, but I was in deep trouble. I mean, I was just going to be down a pawn with no compensation in an endgame. Like, I got away with murder this game, and I got very lucky that my opponent wasn't able to succeed. And so yeah, queen a5 check and rook e8 was just a bad plan. It was just a bad plan. I queen a, you know, queen a5 wasn't good. I don't know what I was supposed to do. Maybe even knight e4 isn't very good. I'm not really sure, to be honest. Like, what am I supposed to do? Rook e8 might be the way I'm supposed to start. Maybe I start with rook e8. Maybe I start with rook e8 so this pawn's not hanging. If he castles, now I go knight e4, because wherever he moves his queen, I go knight of 2. So he has to go queen e1 to defend the f2 pawn. And then maybe now I do some, like, queen d5 here to attack a2, king b1, bishop e6 here, g3, and now I can maybe give a check. No, I can't really give a check. Maybe essentially my other rook, maybe for now, because if rook takes, queen here, you can take and take, check. No, maybe you start with this move, bishop f5, queen e1 though. I can still take here, and the issue is that white is not fully developed. Bishop d3 though, takes and takes. Is this winning or losing? I don't know. But points is, like, there's probably other ways I can continue. Like, bishop e, like, this position should be winning for black. I believe it should be. And, like, maybe, but it's not super easy. Let me queen c5, for example, now. And so now king b2, maybe. And now rook a1. So now I maintain my pawn because take. Oh, whoops. So now I have enough defenders on my pawn on d4. So maybe this is what I should do. Maybe this is how I should continue. Play queen c5. So, like, force weaknesses around his king, and this position is winning. So I needed to, like, play rook e8 first. Now if you go with queen e4, well, I didn't commit to knight e4. I did not commit to that. So maybe I can just play some sort of, like, I don't know, bishop e6 maybe? Because if knight takes, queen takes, there's no discovered checks. So bishop e6, if knight takes, I go check here. Queen d2, takes. Rook centralize, c3, check, king e2. I don't really have anything. Check. Oh wait, no, probably check here. Oh, I do win the pawn. Because if you go here, now you're lining up with my other rook. King e3. Oh, this is so close to winning. This is so close to winning. Why, this king feels so naked. King f4, but then you lose the pawn. So this should be winning. This should be good. This should be good for black. I'm not really sure. So I completely misnavigated this entire position, and I got a losing position. But then my opponent blundered in exchange, and then I won. So that being said, I have my next round in an hour, round 3 in an hour. So I won both of my birthday games, and now I'm heading into round 3. So we'll see how it goes.